Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and today we're just going to talk about a few knives. And this I just wanted to quickly talk about for 2 seconds because people are always wanting to get TWOSUNs, but they don't want to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get them. Well, right now you can get this right now and get it within like a day or two. I got a link down in the description. They must have a couple in the USA. The TWOSUN TS223. I'm going to link it down there. So if you do want to get one of these 223s and you don't want to wait 3 or 4 weeks, get it now. I think there's only like 3 or 4 available. So, or a couple available. But the TWOSUN TS319. Now, this is a titanium knife, 14C28N, with a steel liner lock. Now, or sorry, is it titanium? No, it's steel. I believe it's steel. Yeah, steel liner lock. Carbon fiber inlay. I believe the ones that are available are the burlap micarta ones, but this is an awesome little chunker. Great reverse flicking action. You can choke up, super duper comfortable. Not the thinnest geometry, but it's mostly made for utility cuts. But it is such a compact little knife while also giving you a full, comfortable grip. Very minimal clip, but it does actually work somewhat okay. Looking at it, I would think this was horrible, but it actually works just fine. It has a pretty cool sound. Not the most drop shutty or anything like that, but it is on ceramic caged bearings. But it has a cool look to it, and you know, like I said, the ergos are what kind of makes this. It's a little blade, great ergos, great pinch grips, good access to the lock bar. This is going to be a great one for lefties as well, because you know you have such good access to the hole deployment, and you're not going to lock yourself out. Awesome milling. That is one thing that TWOSUN does a really good job with, is their milling. But let's check out the next one. Now, this next one is another, it kind of reminds me of this a little bit. And that is the TECHNO 2. Now, what I want to speak about this thing about is SPYDERCO CTS XHP, man. Holy cow, do they do a good job with their CTS XHP. Now, this is the TECHNO 2. In CTS XHP, obviously. You can get these. I can link them down in the description, but they are not cheap. Not cheap at all. Wire clip that is, it's a hot spot, to say the least. It is definitely a hot spot. Now, without the clip, this thing would be like this, mega comfortable. It'd be great. It is very compact, but it's one of those knives that you mostly use like this. You know, you can use it like this, you know, in a pinch. So there's no problems with using it like that, but you're never going to want to do it long term because of the clip. Great reverse flicking action, especially from the left side. If you hold it right-handed, the hole's a little bit tighter to get to, but you can do it easily. The thumb flick is where it's at. And great slow roller. This finish that they put on the slish buoy and the TECHNO 2 is just beautiful. It's somewhat of a mirrored stonewash. Like, there's a lot of reflection going on. Now you can actually see me a little bit right there. But the CTS XHP, I still have this on the factory edge, which is insane. I've had this for a very long time. Kara's used this. She was using this at work. She's used it so much. And you would think that this thing would just be tore to crap by now. Well, the same thing happened with my slish buoy that's in CTS XHP. I could not get that thing to go. Obviously, yes, I could have tried to break rock with it. But just using it like a regular knife, opening things up, breaking down cardboard, and, you know, just regular work, it just kept going and going and going. And my slish buoy got to the point to where I just wound up sharpening it because. And that's what's kind of happening with this one. It's it will not, like, it just won't go. It's still super sticky, very sharp. And it almost doesn't make sense. So Spyderco is doing something amazing with their CTS XHP that I just can't explain. This is all titanium frame lock, no lock bar insert, because it's a nice thick slab of titanium. It's not necessary. The lockup is like a vault. Beautiful green standoffs, nice big hardware. Stupid smooth. It is on washers. So it's not like fall shutty, but you can easily just slap it down. But it is frictionless. It is so smooth. The jimping is exactly the type of jimping I like. This is an awesome little knife. But they are not cheap. Next, really quick, the VOSTEED Nightshade. Now, don't forget these things are available now. The original version had the copper full bolster and was an M390. This one is in 154 cm and is more budget friendly. So it gives you this profile without, spending too much money. I think they're like $60 something. One of the most comfortable flipper tabs you could ever imagine. Stupid comfortable. Very snappy. You can light switch it. You can push button it. It's super comfortable. And this blade shape is just so good for everyday carry. Because the blade is always aiming at what you want. If you're going to break down cardboard, it traps it. If you're going to cut straps, it traps it. If you're going to do utility cuts, it's pointing at it. If you're going to go around a box, it's, the blade is always facing at what you're cutting. The access to the lock bar is amazing. It is ridiculously smooth. Crowned spine. Easy to reverse flick too. Very easy because there's so much blade hanging out. Great jimping. Slim in the hand, so it's not a big knife. And it's somewhat of a teardrop shape in the hand. It's definitely more of a compact EDC knife, but it's such a useful design. I believe it's called the Schillen cutter is what it's after, which is a fixed blade version of this exact knife basically. It's called the Schillen cutter. They did inset the clip with flat screws, lots of milling on the inside. Fantastic knife. I do have a full review on this knife where I took it to work and I really show you what this thing can do. Because if people just, as a work knife, as an EDC knife, when you get the experience with a certain style and you realize how much it works for you and to your benefit, it starts making those designs look attractive. Also, you can get a titanium mini pry bar with this. If you click on, I have the VOSTEED link down in the description. You can click to add the titanium pry bar to your deal. It obviously costs a little bit more money, but you can get this little titanium pry bar with a wire clip that is reversible, and it's kind of a little multi-tool. It's pretty cool. Bottle opener. The wire clip works well. It is very lightweight being titanium, but like I said, you can get this with your VOSTEED Nightshade if you were going to get one and you wanted a pry bar as well. Now, this next knife has been a disappointment. And this is a LIONG Mob budget knife. The first LIONG Mob budget knife I've ever owned. I think I know he's made a couple right now. I'm not sure what's out and what's not out. But I got this one from Blade Show, and it's disappointing to me. There's a lot of good things about it, but the bad things just outweigh everything else. So let me go over a couple good things. One, the detent is super solid. I mean, this is an extremely well-tuned detent, like a perfect detent. Whether you're reverse flicking, that was my fault, or is this? Okay. The reverse flick is great. Thumb flick is great. Super easy to do. And then you have the top flipper, which the top flipper is a little unique. You kind of have to go up on top and pull downward like that. But again, the jimping is really good. The detent is super solid and it works great. Now, the ergos are nice and comfortable in the hand. Clip works fine. Not a fan of those screws popping up, but the clip's fine. Very comfortable in the hand. clip point blade, which would work just fine. However, let's go over some of the negative things. One, this hole just looks ridiculous. It looks like it was an accident. It does. It looks like an accident. Now, this blade goes from narrow to thicker or wider right here, more broad, which kind of feels awkward when you're using it. Now, that's not even that big of a deal. The biggest part, or the biggest disappointment to me, is this lock bar access. It is so tight in there that, and it's a thin lock bar, and then they chamfered the edge right here, so you feel like you're pinching in there to get it, and then it has a hint of lock stick, which I don't care about the lock stick, but I care about it being so tight. It's just difficult to get to. It's like I'm like trying to fight to unlock it, and I had to like wedge my finger and pinch it in there to disengage it. So I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So this to me is not one I would recommend. I love Liang Ma knives. Love Liang Ma knives. That's why I got this. Because, I figured I would probably like it because I love all his designs. But the micarta is decent. It's not the best micarta. It's okay, though. I'm not going to complain about that. The shouldered lockup on this stop pin is hilarious. You see the stop pin right there? Now watch how shouldered this is. So there's a track that goes all the way around this blade. Not that that's a bad thing or anything. I just thought it was funny. But yeah, just the awkwardness of the hole, how big it is, how ugly it is. It's ugly. It's a big knife. I like big knives. Don't mind big knives, but it feels weird being narrow and it being bigger out here. Looks awkward with the hole, and then the access to the lock bar just drives me nuts. You'd think it would have a reversible clip. What is going on? I think they meant to put one in, but they forgot to put the hole there. That's what I'm guessing, because you can see they actually did it on the liner, but they didn't do it on the micarta. Anyways, I wouldn't recommend. Now, last one, the CIVIVI SANDBAR. And here, this is another example of one that I personally can't recommend. I just don't like it. And there's a couple reasons. One, I did wind up taking off the clip. So I wound up putting the clip on my CIVIVI Altus, which I highly recommend. This is a fantastic knife. Now, mine has aftermarket badass scales. But I wanted to put a new clip on it, so I took the clip off of this. So I'm very happy I got this because I got the clip off of it. Which this is a titanium milled pocket clip, which dressed up my CIVIVI Altus. And I like this knife a lot. This is a fantastic knife. CIVIVI Altus button lock. Now, this SANDBAR, now that I put the other clip on there, it's insanely uncomfortable. Like, ridiculously uncomfortable. Now, it's my fault for putting the clip on there, but that wasn't the original issue. The original issue was kind of a twofold. One, the lock bar access again. It looks like you have plenty. It looks like it, but it was so slippery. I would constantly fight to unlock it. The jimping just doesn't have enough traction. It's so rounded and knocked off. It's slippery, and it has a good amount of tension on it. Now, the action is really good aside from the damn lock bar. I can reverse flick it. I can eat. I mean, the action, the comfort of the flipper tab is really good. It does have a hollow ground recurved tanto, which looks cool. Looks really cool. Functionally, this big, not cool. It's just too small. Can you use it? Yeah, like I can obviously go around boxes, but look at how high this tip is. The tip doesn't drop down far enough, so now I have to lift all the way up to here to get to the tip, right? The secondary tip, it's a recurved hollow. So yes, it does have a secondary tip, but it's not very pronounced. So yes, I can use it, but it's just not the most functional, right? Why would I use this when I can get something that's very functional? Do you know what I mean? And now cutting with it, yes, it's going to cut good. It traps materials a little bit because it does have that recurve. So it does slice actually pretty good. But the recurve is such a small recurve that if you do get past that point, it'll slip out of the cut. So it's just not the most functional blade shape because it's too short. You know, if this was a 3.5-inch blade, it'd probably work pretty good. But since it's such a tiny blade, it looks cool. Can you use it? Yeah, there's no problem with it. I mean, obviously you can use it and it's not going to be that much of a hindrance. But I, for one, have a lot of knives, and I'm not bragging or anything like that. But when you have a bunch of knives, I just don't find this one going into the pocket. I also don't like the sharpening choil. You can see here how it's, you know, as I sharpen it, it's going to keep going back and back and back, and it's going to wind up making a smile or breaking into my little finger choil, which I do, you know, would want. So, the micarta, CIVIVI has stepped up their micarta a little bit. So, not the worst micarta, not the best micarta. It's just average. It's good. Decent. Not bad. It's actually improved compared to, like, I think it was last year's stuff. So, I'm not mad at their micarta. The micarta's decent. It's just not a knife for me, and you know, I'm not trying to beat it to death because it's not a bad knife. It's just not for me, and it is Nitro V steel. Love the steel. So I think it was a great steel choice. I think it's nice and thin behind the edge. I think there is some cool factors, and I think if it wasn't for this lock bar, I think I might have appreciated it more. It was mostly for the lock bar. Like, it's just too slippery, and maybe it's me. But it is what it is. But there you guys go. Yeah, I know some of these weren't, you know, great things to hear, but, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes, you know, they all can't be winners, right? I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.